Hi everyone, this is Lindsay Gazin. Welcome to Module 3. Now we are going to walk through a partially filled in digital data tracker. So, the first thing you can see is the class roster. I put a couple made-up names into our class roster for you to get a feel on how to use the resource. So I have 4 students. Each student would be assigned these numbers. So Eric would make sure that his phonics kit was number 1. Any resources in the classroom. His headphone location would be number 1's pocket. So number 1 for the entire school year would be dedicated to Eric Dash. Now, one thing that I did not do is alphabetize this. I encourage you to keep your class roster alphabetized because it will directly correlate with your report cards and your attendance, because most likely they are also alphabetized. So now walking over to the birthday calendar, you can isolate, which students have birthdays in September, which students have birthdays in October, and then put it directly into your calendar. And you might even want to have your birthday treats ready to go. I know many teachers have general little goodie bags that they give out every birthday for their students. So if you have all 14 or 20 or however many students you have ready to go, there is no more forgetting. You know when your student's going to have that birthday, you have the crown that they're going to wear that day, and then you make sure that your birthday treat is given to them as well. This is just a really good way to not forget, because I will admit that I've done that a few times. Okay, so allergies. So one example, okay, so Eric has asthma. He needs to make sure he has access to an inhaler. The nurse has an inhaler, and it must be brought with him on field trips. This is just notes that you make sure you gather that before you leave the school. Sometimes students are able to carry their own inhaler. My students personally are not able to do that because they are so young. So this is just a great way for you to keep track. I have had students with red dye allergies. That's really important to make sure that you keep track of that for any snacks, any birthday treats, so that your student is not having that. Maybe you have a peanut allergy where you cannot have peanuts in your classroom at all. Maybe there is an egg allergy. It's just really important to make sure you track that. It is here for you to remember, and then you put those notes directly into your plan book so that when you print them off, your substitute will have them as well. Okay, so an example of how to use the parent contact form, so tracking the relationships, the parent's name, parent number. I did not input the email or address, but this is another thing that you could do. You could even add, so there's a way if you right click, excuse me, on the box, I could insert a row above, and I could also create this and say, okay, this is also Eric Dash, and I am also going to put his mother's. Okay, so maybe you want to do that. You could even go as far. Okay, never mind. We're not going to merge cells. But you could make it so that you list out, all of the different parent contacts for every student. Okay, so moving on to the dismissal list. So both Miranda and Angela go on bus 66, Michael goes on bus 71, Eric goes to YMCA. One thing that I do that I suggest is, I walk my students out to dismissal, and the buses are usually lined up in a specific order. So I will actually line up my students in that order so that first, any students that are picked up by parents in the school go first. Any students that go to late bus are second in line, and then we have the YMCA, and then bus 71 lines up, then 66, then 72, then 84. So I can make sure and then of course my walkers and my pickups at the end of the line. So I give my student an elbow bump, so it just keeps the line moving. We also have clipboards where we track, okay, I sent Miranda on the bus to 66 so that if anything were to come back, they can go back and say, okay, on September 6th, Miss Gales dismissed Miranda and she went on bus 66. So that's just another way you can use that digital data tracker. Now I have an example of a student checklist. So in the beginning of the year, I have parent contact forms. So, Eric sent it in and Angela sent it in, but I'm still missing Miranda's and Michael's. Technology survey, I'm missing Angela's. Field trip form, I'm missing both Miranda's and Angela's. So this is just an easy way for you to click and say, oh, I got it. And highlight who still needs to give you those resources. I don't know about you, but paper just does not work for me, and then I end up having 10 different student checklists. It's just nice to have one, and I just keep adding tabs and keep adding tabs. You can also go ahead, and if you wanted to add another column, I don't know if you noticed that, let me do it right here. So I could insert another column, okay? If you needed to add as you went. Okay, so this is an example of how I created my math grade book, okay? So I give out exit tickets, and every exit ticket is a different lesson. So I have exit ticket for lesson 1, 2, 3, and I'll keep going up. And then I will also have tabs for unit 1 exams. And I explained before, but I rank my students on a 1 to 4 scale. Typically, a 4 is only allotted to students who receive a 100. So we also go by a scale. So anything below 65 is considered not meeting and you would get a 1. Anything between 65 and 80 is approaching. Anything between 80 and 100 is, excuse me, 80 and 99 is meeting, and then 100 is exceeding expectations. Okay, and then I color code. 1 is red, 2 is yellow, and 3 is green. So I can see that Miranda is completely meeting expectations. She's not someone that I'm going to necessarily pull very frequently. However, Eric looks like he needs more assistance, so I'm going to make sure that I schedule him a one-on-one with me during the day so we can check over that exit ticket 1. Okay, same goes for ELA. We follow the Wit and Wisdom program, and students get question sets, they get new read assessments, they have focusing tasks, there's written assessments that they're given. So this is a way for me to track that grading. I recommend your grade book is only dedicated for grades that are going to directly reflect on your report card. So, for example, I give a lot of warm-ups in the classroom. I do not take those grades and put them into grade books. If I ever do like a review, that's only for me to just get a taste. So this is more for summative assessments and for formative assessments that are truly testing the skill. So typically in ELA and math, I will only have, well, math specifically, I will have like a exit slip a lesson. I will have 1 test. So just making sure that the data you are taking is directly corresponding to the skill that you are trying to have your students master. You want your grade book to directly reflect you know, what is going to be on that report card. Okay, so then an example of the pacing guide. So I started plugging in math, phonics, reading. I went by weeks. So math, I am making sure that I'm teaching lessons 1 through 15 in September. I would even go as far as to start mapping out the weeks. Okay, so maybe oops, we don't have school on Wednesdays, so I can only hit 4 lessons that week. So just making sure that you track it. I personally plan a week at a time, because planning any more than a week, sometimes it's unproductive, because you're a little too ahead and it doesn't give you time to reflect and say, uh-oh, I wanted to go on to lesson 4, but we need another day at lesson 4 because my students, then looking at that data, my students really didn't accomplish that need, or they didn't hit that standard. Okay, so you can see week 1, I'm hitting unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. I even go as far as to write the titles. Now this is just a quick bullet point pacing guide, so you don't need to be specifically detailed, because you're going to want to update this throughout the month. Maybe check back in the next month. So I would even, at the beginning of the year, get an idea of what you want to hit throughout the school year, but then be ready to go back in and fluctuate. Maybe you only want to do 6 months at a time. Maybe you only want to do 2 at a time. It's completely up to you. Okay? Now, I did not go into IEP goals, accommodations, modifications, but I did go into AIS groupings. So, Eric, Miranda, Angela, and Michael are all students that are in need. They need to go over specific skills in math. You can go as far as making your groupings based on the standard. So say we're doing 2-digit by 2-digit addition, and Eric and Angela really struggled on that, so I'm only going to meet with Eric and Angela, and that's the only skill I'm going to go over with them. Okay, maybe you want to meet with your students once a week and you want to go over multiple different lessons at a time. Completely up to you. So this is just a idea of how you can manipulate, add, change out colors. Maybe you don't like the pink and you want to go blue. Maybe you don't like the font and you want to change the size, okay, because it's too small for you. So have fun with it and join me for Module 4, where you are now going to input your own data. See you there.